2015 marks the 50th anniversary of the uniting of the Bermuda Militia Artillery and the Bermuda Rifles to form the Bermuda Regiment. We celebrate the newly titled Royal Bermuda Regiment's 50 years of dedicated service to Bermuda. Bermuda established manned fortifications as early as 1612. From these early days through the American War of Independence, Bermuda's strategic importance was firmly established. With the completion of the Royal Naval Dockyard in the early 1800s, the Royal Artillery and a regular Army garrison were stationed to protect the island. World conflicts of the late 19th century drew the British soldiers away from the island, and Bermuda recognized the need for its own local defense forces. In 1892, legislation established two local units in Bermuda: the all-white Bermuda Volunteer Rifle Corps, or BVRC, reinforced the infantry garrison, while the majority-black Bermuda Militia Artillery, or BMA, supported the Royal Artillery in coastal defense. These local units served with distinction in Bermuda and overseas during both World Wars, as did other Bermudians who served independently, with services including the Royal Navy, Royal Air Force, and the Merchant Navy. In the Great War, the BMA served in the Royal Garrison Artillery, and the BVRC joined the 1st Battalion, Lincolnshire Regiment. During World War II, more than 500 Bermudian men and 29 women served overseas. The BMA soldiers formed the Bermuda contingent of the 1st Caribbean Regiment, serving in North Africa and Europe. A full company of the BVRC rejoined the Royal Lincolnshire Regiment, serving in the European theatre. A home guard from the BVRC and BMA secured our shores alongside the specially established wartime units of the Bermuda Militia Infantry and the Bermuda Volunteer Engineers. Post-World War II, the still divided units were edged closer under the central command of headquarters, Bermuda Local Forces, and in 1951, the BVRC was renamed the Bermuda Rifles. A new role emerged when increasing tension resulting from the racial division and inequity of Bermudian society occasionally spilled over into violence, including the Belco riots of 1965, wherein the separate units served jointly. It became politically and economically inexpedient to maintain two racially divided military units. On September 1st, 1965, the Bermuda Rifles and the Bermuda Militia Artillery were amalgamated to form the unified Bermuda Regiment. Her Royal Highness, the Princess Margaret, presented the new regiment with its colors in November that year. The regiment's early years were characterized by the social unrest and civil disturbances of the time, and the battalion was embodied during riots in the 1960s and 70s and for the general strike in 1981. Today, the Bermuda Regiment stands ready to provide assistance with public order and to manage national crises, working closely with the Bermuda Police Service. The regiment spearheaded recovery and restoration efforts following Hurricane Emily in 1987. Similarly, with Hurricane Fabian in 2003 and Faye and Gonzalo in 2014, the regiment's training and experience in disaster management was critical in Bermuda's return to normalcy. Further, the men and women of the unit have volunteered for extended overseas hurricane relief deployments to the Cayman Islands, Grenada, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. Following the September 11, 2001 terrorist attack on the U.S., the regiment expanded its training to the armed forces of the UK, US, Canada, and CARICOM nations, and some of the regiment's full-time personnel have served in Africa as part of the International Military Advisory Training Team to Sierra Leone's armed services. In 2007, the regiment formed an integral part of the security operation for the Cricket World Cup in Barbados. Locally, the regiment's boat troop conducts joint maritime patrols and marine search and rescue operations with the Bermuda Police Service, assists HM Customs and the Department of Fisheries with inspections and searches, and routinely practices oil containment in preparation for any spill in Bermuda waters. Bermuda is very proud of its regiment's fine tradition of providing the pomp and pageantry for grand ceremonial occasions. Guards of honor, color parties, and ceremonial salutes all add to the spectacle of a military parade, while firing in bearer parties, gun carriages, and a lone bugler bring a solemn dignity to funerals of service persons and at state funerals. The band and corps of drums of the Bermuda Regiment performs with distinction at all Bermudian state and ceremonial functions, and also performs at many of the island's community activities, charitable and sporting events. On the international stage, the band has performed to acclaim while touring North America and the Caribbean, the Far East and Australia, Europe and the UK, most notably at the Edinburgh Military Tattoo. Back at home, the band proudly hosts the Bermuda Tattoo. On September 1st, 2015, the regiment's Golden Jubilee, Her Majesty the Queen honored the Bermuda Regiment with royal status to mark 50 years of dedicated and loyal service to the Crown and its forebears, dedicated and loyal service dating back to 1612. From the gallant service of the early BMA and BVRC to today's modern infantry battalion, the Royal Bermuda Regiment continues to strengthen its ties to the community and embrace its ever-changing role as an indispensable service both at home and beyond our shores. The Royal Bermuda Regiment, 50 years strong, moving forward together.